The Suicide Squad, Binge or Bin? The Suicide Squad is the newest addition to the DC Cinematic Universe roster, including what's probably the largest cast of main characters in a superhero, supervillain movie. But wait, didn't DC already release a Suicide Squad film back in 2016? That's right, both films are in the same universe, but The Suicide Squad is what's known as a soft reboot of the franchise, being in the same universe, but now featuring continuity with the other DC films like Birds of Prey and the Justice League. So today we'll be bringing you a new entry in our Binge or Bin series, our review of The Suicide Squad 2021 and final rating of the movie's quality. Don't forget to subscribe to Binge TV and to turn notifications on for more videos like this one. Without further ado, let's begin. The Suicide Squad is sent to the shores of a South American island called Corto Maltese, with their leaders being the insanely popular and, insane Harley Quinn and Rick Flag. Other members of the squad include Captain Boomerang, Blackguard, TDK, Javelin, Mongol, and the Weasel. There's also Savant on his first mission. Many characters mentioned in one go, right? Well, given the name of this movie, expect many of them to die gruesome deaths before the first half has even passed. Some people have labeled the Suicide Squad as an anti-heroic inversion of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians is made up of underdog heroes who overcome all odds to defeat an interstellar enemy, similar to the Suicide Squad, except for the fact that the Suicide Squad has the black comedy turned up to 11 with a massive level of violence, carnage, and puns. Oh, and the fact that it's from DC Universe too. Let's talk a little bit about the film's direction and script writing, 2 points of contention for critics worldwide. James Gunn is hailed as a genius filmmaker, the director of blockbusters like Guardians of the Galaxy. It makes sense that he was hired to direct what would be its direct counterpart in the DC universe, rebooting the film by using some of the same cast and also multiplying it ×2 with a big part of the members of the squad and many of the enemies dying unceremoniously before the 30-minute mark. Some before the 10-minute mark. However, Gunn's Suicide Squad is by far more violent and less lighthearted than the original film, and it's a no contest if you compare it with Guardians in the gore department. The beginning is definitely funny and interesting, kicking off the film with promising energy, but failing mid-through due to the script mysteriously going from a ragtag bunch of misfit criminals infiltrating an island and ending with a kaiju movie. If there's anything every single critic can agree on, is that Gunn had way too much creative liberty with this project, most likely because he was finally free of Marvel's family-friendly chains and delivered us this cinematographical love child blending gore, classic rock, and the foulest of language in just one package. This is a movie with a talking, walking, eating, and fighting shark that tears people in half with as much ease as one would bite a sandwich. However, while the movie's plot and pacing isn't the best, we can agree that one of its biggest strengths was the casting. We have some well-known stars like Viola Davis, Joel Kinnaman, Jai Courtney, and Margot Robbie, DC's breakout star, playing Harley Quinn. Some of the newcomers in this reboot include Idris Elba, who plays Bloodsport, and John Cena playing Peacemaker's psychotic, patriotic, and peace-obsessed anti-hero. This is one of the biggest positive points of the film, as both actors have some fantastic chemistry that leads to them clashing hilariously when they try to one-up each other in homicidal creativity. Others in the cast include Nathan Fillion, Michael Rooker, Pete Davidson, Alice Braga, Taika Waititi, and Peter Capaldi. The direction of the Suicide Squad is as crazy or even crazier as the film itself, if that's even possible. Gunn performed some hyperactive camera turns and bobs, the sound effects sound literally straight out of a comic book, and the movie opens with a beach assault opening massacre scene that would make any gore film fan proud. It also make them laugh while at it. And while the movie is firmly black comedy, it also features some interesting commentary on serious themes like American imperialism, foreign policy, and government conspiracies interfering with foreign territories like Corto Maltese. This is a film where the good guys are street thugs, mass murderers, and villains, so you can imagine that it's a bleak and nihilistic premise that somehow makes us feel sympathy for classic comic book evildoers. Some interesting additions to the squad are Ratcatcher 2, played by Daniela Melchior, and Polka Dot Man's silly powers reimagined as some interesting, powerful, and certainly horrifying abilities. Gunn also made sure to add personality to each and every character in the film, both major and minor. Even the most seemingly irrelevant extras are made to feel as if they are actual people and not just extras. The squad's backroom staff of button pushers are entertainingly fleshed out, and with the climax featuring Flo knocking Amanda Waller out with a golf club, you know that these minor characters have their own shining moments on screen. Now, something that might have come up in a soft reboot type of movie like this is comparisons with the original Suicide Squad. The first movie was widely criticized for featuring too many over-sexualized female characters wearing stripperific outfits and demeaning camera angles. This is not enforced in this movie, and in fact it features more male sexualization than anything else. On top of that, the first film was panned by critics for using over-the-top comic book text and effects that were clearly slapped over the film in post-production, using exposition that wasn't actually showcased in the film proper, and using a very out-of-place soundtrack with licensed songs that attempt to emulate Guardians of the Galaxy. What makes this even more fun is how the Suicide Squad is now directed by the same director as Guardians, and now has a more meaningful and strategical soundtrack. If there's one thing that many viewers and DC fans have praised, it's the Suicide Squad's villain, aka Starro the Conqueror. A literal giant starfish alien with psychic powers, Starro isn't your classic cardboard villain that seeks to dominate Earth for pointless motivations. In fact, it was the US government in the first place that turned Starro into what he is today, because they captured him 30 years prior to the events of the film to experiment on him without his consent. After being trapped for so long in Corto Maltese, Starro doesn't exactly have the best views on humanity. By far the most visually stunning and perhaps memorable villain to ever take the stage in a DC Universe film, Starro at first spares the Suicide Squad members for freeing him, but then proceeds to mind control the Corto Maltese population, and in a moment of heroism in a film of villains, the remaining members of the squad proceed to defend the island and defy Amanda Waller's orders. The Suicide Squad is by far better than the mess that was the original, is certainly filled with much less plot holes than that one, and makes more sense than it. Overall, the film felt like it was all over the place and had absolutely no sense of direction after its midsection. And while the casting choices were strong, as the trailers pointed out, many of its members didn't even have the screen time to deliver their acting chops, considering that 70% of them were murdered early on, causing the audience to settle on the characters left. The stinger featuring the Weasel and Peacemaker was a nice touch though. So, drum roll please. Is it a binge or is it a bin? Sadly, this is going to be a bin for us. The movie wasn't terrible, but it's just so convoluted and confusing that not even the funniest black comedy hijinks featured in it can save it. Sadly, we believe the DCU has a difficult time finding their own movie to match the MCU's Avengers. It's not that all of their entries are terrible. Many of them, like Wonder Woman, are fantastic standalone films. Their identity is still very blurred, and hopefully in the future they'll find something that they can actually build on. So did you already watch The Suicide Squad and came here to vent or praise the film? Let us know what you think of our review and the movie itself in the comments below. And while you're at it, don't forget to leave us a like, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time for more.